Denethor preferred Boromir because at first glance it would seem that Boromir was more like himself than Faramir was. Faramir would be known for his love of lore and music, which would seem to be in stark contrast, while not mutually exclusive, to Boromir's valiant and fearless desire for war and glory, being a warrior of Gondor. Despite their father's obvious preference, there was no apparent rivalry between Boromir and Faramir. Denethor II was the third child of Telion, who was a man of wisdom, strengthened his realm against the assault of Mordor. Denethor was a proud man, tall, valiant, and more kingly than any man that had appeared in Gondor for many lives of men, and he was wise also and farsighted and learned in lore. He was commonly compared to Aragorn, who also served Actelion. Many have thought he had departed before his rival became his master, though he had never vied with Denethor, and at one point their counsels to the steward were at variance. While Aragorn wanted to trust Gandalf, there was little love between Denethor and Gandalf, and after the days of Actelion, there was less welcome for the Grey Pilgrim in Minas Tirith. Many believed that Denethor, who was subtle in mind and looked further and deeper than other men of his day, had discovered who this stranger, Thorongil, in truth was, and suspected that Mithrandir designed to supplant him. Denethor became steward in 2984 and kept the rule mostly to himself. A few years earlier, he had married Finduilas, who died 12 years later. They had Boromir and Faramir. Denethor loved Finduilas in his fashion more dearly than any other unless it were the elder of the sons that she bore him. Denethor would become more grim and silent after his wife's death, and during his times of deep thought he would start foreseeing the assault of Mordor. He would look in the Palantir of the White Tower, being the only steward to do this. However, his pride and despair would both increase, and he would start to mistrust all others who were resisting Sauron unless they served him. As his sons grew up, Denethor saw Boromir particularly as one of his own. Boromir, 5 years the elder, beloved by his father, was like him in face and pride, but in little else. Rather, he was a man after the sort of King Eanor of old, taking no wife and delighting chiefly in arms, fearless and strong, but caring little for lore, save the tales of old battles. Faramir the younger was like him in looks, but otherwise in mind. Faramir would be gentle and have a love for lore and music, and by many this courage was judged less than his brothers. Furthermore, he also trusted Gandalf, learning from his wisdom, which Denethor had a hard time adhering to when counseled with the same advice. As expected, in this and many other matters he had displeased his father.